Have you ever stopped to consider the impact of your energy consumption on the environment? It's a question that may seem daunting, but it's one we must all face as our world grapples with the fallout of centuries of fossil fuel use. Fossil fuels, namely oil, coal, and natural gas, have long been the lifeblood of our global energy system. They've powered our homes, fueled our vehicles, and driven unprecedented economic growth. But this progress has come at a significant environmental cost. The extraction and burning of these fuels release vast amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing to the global challenge that is climate change. Moreover, these environmental impacts are not just abstract, far-off threats. They are tangible, immediate, and often devastating. Air and water pollution from fossil fuel extraction and use can have severe health impacts on local communities, and the global warming fueled by these emissions is leading to increasingly frequent and severe weather events. Looking at the broader picture, it's clear that our global reliance on fossil fuels is not sustainable. Past generations in many countries have used these resources without fully considering the long-term environmental consequences. Today, we are living with the results of those decisions. In this context, we turn our attention to Russia, a country with vast fossil fuel reserves and a significant player in the global energy market. For Russia, like many nations, the fossil fuel question is not just an environmental issue, but also a complex political and economic conundrum. As we delve into the history and current state of fossil fuel extraction in Russia, let's keep in mind the global context. We're not just talking about one country's challenges, but a global issue that affects us all. The choices we make today about our energy use and sources will have far-reaching implications for our planet's future. And remember, every challenge also presents an opportunity. Amid the difficulties, there are also potential solutions and alternatives that can lead us towards a more sustainable and resilient energy future. But for that to happen, we need to understand the problem fully, so let's take a closer look at the fossil fuel conundrum. Russia's relationship with fossil fuels dates back centuries. The story begins in the 19th century when the first oil wells were drilled in Baku, a city now part of Azerbaijan, but then within the Russian Empire. This was the start of an industry that would shape Russia's economic and political landscape for centuries to come. The turn of the 20th century saw the rapid expansion of the oil industry, with the country becoming one of the world's leading oil producers by the early 1900s. This was paralleled by the development of the coal industry, particularly in the Ural Mountains in Siberia, feeding the growing demand for energy in the era of industrialization. The Soviet era brought further expansion. The discovery of vast oil and gas fields in western Siberia in the mid-20th century marked a new chapter in Russia's fossil fuel history. The extraction and export of these resources became a cornerstone of the Soviet economy, fueling industrial growth and providing a vital source of income. But while the Soviet Union pushed for economic prosperity, the environmental consequences were largely overlooked. The focus was on meeting quotas and driving growth, often at the expense of sustainable practices. As a result, areas of intense extraction saw significant environmental degradation, a legacy that continues to haunt these regions today. This history also shaped the attitudes and policies of post-Soviet Russia. The country remains one of the world's top producers and exporters of oil and natural gas. Fossil fuels continue to dominate the energy landscape, despite the growing global push towards cleaner, renewable sources of energy. This history has set the stage for the current state of fossil fuel extraction in Russia. It's a tale of economic growth, industrial development, and political power, but also one of environmental damage and missed opportunities for sustainable progress. As we look to the future, it's crucial to understand this past, to learn from it, and to use it as a guide as we navigate the challenges and possibilities of the energy transition. Today, Russia stands as one of the world's leading producers of fossil fuels. At the heart of this production are a handful of key regions, each a hive of activity around the clock. Siberia, for instance, is a hub of oil and gas extraction, while the Ural Mountains and Kuznetsk Basin are known for their rich coal reserves. However, this fossil fuel extraction, in its pursuit of economic growth, has often overlooked one crucial aspect: environmental sustainability. The absence of stringent regulations has resulted in practices that are anything but eco-friendly. From open-pit mining to gas flaring, these methods have inflicted severe damage on the local environment. Forests have been cleared, rivers contaminated, and air quality degraded, all in the name of economic progress. But the cost is not just environmental. The people of these regions bear the brunt of this industrial onslaught. They face health issues from polluted air and contaminated water, while their lands and homes are often encroached upon by the ever-expanding boundaries of extraction sites. In the grand scheme of things, the monetary gains of fossil fuel extraction may seem substantial. However, when weighed against the environmental degradation and the health issues faced by the local population, the true cost becomes apparent. Economic growth, when pursued at the cost of the environment and the well-being of the people, is not sustainable growth. It is a ticking time bomb, with repercussions that extend far beyond the borders of the extraction sites. The current state of affairs calls for a reassessment of priorities. It's high time that environmental sustainability is given the importance it deserves. Regulations need to be tightened and extraction methods reviewed. The focus should be on striking a balance between economic growth and environmental preservation. The consequences of these practices are far-reaching, impacting not only the environment but also the Russian residents. It's a wake-up call for Russia, a call to action before it's too late. The path to sustainable growth is a long one, but the first steps need to be taken now. The cost of fossil fuel extraction extends beyond the environment. It leaves a deep and lasting imprint on our communities, our health, and our livelihoods. In Russia, the human cost of fossil fuel extraction is not to be underestimated. Imagine living in a region where your health and well-being are constantly under threat due to the air you breathe, the water you drink, or the land you live on. This is the reality for many local communities in Russia residing near fossil fuel extraction sites. Respiratory issues, cardiovascular diseases, and various types of cancers are among the health problems these communities are forced to grapple with. In the far reaches of Siberia, where coal and gas extraction are prevalent, the health impacts are particularly severe. The air is laden with harmful pollutants, and the water sources are contaminated, making every breath and sip a gamble with one's health. Yet the impacts are not only health-related. The sprawling industrial complexes often lead to displacement of local communities, uprooting families from their homes and severing ties with their ancestral lands. The loss of their homes is often paired with the loss of their livelihoods. Traditional ways of life such as fishing and farming become untenable in the face of environmental degradation. Take the case of the small fishing community in the Krasnodar region. The unchecked oil extraction in the nearby Black Sea has led to frequent oil spills, decimating the fish population and effectively ending the community's primary source of income. These stories are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern. The disregard for the environment is mirrored in the disregard for the well-being of the people. It paints a grim picture of the human cost attached to fossil fuels. These issues underscore the urgent need for change. It is a call for a shift towards more sustainable and socially responsible energy practices. It is a plea for the health and well-being of communities, for the preservation of livelihoods, and for the safeguarding of our shared future. Change is not only possible, it's essential. This couldn't be more true when it comes to energy production in Russia. The future of energy in this vast country is bright and brimming with potential, and it's time to start tapping into it. Let's consider the alternatives to fossil fuels that are not only sustainable but also feasible for Russia. One such alternative is wind energy. Russia's vast landscapes, particularly in areas like the windy plains of the Far East, offer an immense potential for wind farms. Harnessing the power of the wind could provide a significant portion of the country's energy needs, while also creating jobs, stimulating local economies, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Solar power is another promising avenue. Russia's expansive territory experiences a wide range of solar radiation, presenting an excellent opportunity for solar energy production. By deploying solar panels across the country, Russia could transform its energy landscape and, in the process, reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. Then there's hydropower. With its numerous rivers and waterways, Russia already is one of the world's largest producers of hydroelectric power. Yet, there's still untapped potential. More efficient use of existing hydropower plants, coupled with the construction of new, environmentally friendly facilities, could further boost this sector. These sustainable alternatives are more than just environmentally friendly options. They're also economic opportunities. By investing in renewable energy, Russia could stimulate job creation, foster technological innovation, and spur economic growth. Moreover, transitioning to sustainable energy could help to restore public trust. Citizens, seeing their leaders taking decisive action to protect the environment, would likely feel more confident about their government's commitment to their well-being and the future of their country. The shift to sustainable energy is not only an environmental necessity, but also an economic opportunity. With the right policies and investments, Russia could become a world leader in sustainable energy, setting an example for other nations to follow. The future of energy in Russia is not just about survival. It's about thriving in a sustainable and prosperous way. Leadership and citizen action play a crucial role in this energy transition. Let's start by discussing the role of leadership. For quite some time now, the lack of environmental empathy displayed by leaders has had a detrimental effect on the trust citizens place in their government. This indifference towards environmental concerns, with a focus primarily on economic growth, has not only impacted the environment, but also the relationship between the government and its people. Yet it's important to remember that leadership isn't just about those in power. It's about potential future leaders too, our younger generations. It is they who will inherit this planet and the consequences of our actions today. They must be prepared to lead the way for change, to shift the energy narrative in Russia from one of fossil fuel dependency to one of sustainable solutions. But it's not just up to the leaders, current or future. It's up to all of us. We all have a part to play in this transition. Citizen action is a powerful force that can drive change. It's about making our voices heard, demanding better policies and regulations. It's about holding our leaders accountable for their actions, or in some cases, their inaction. We can also take action in our own lives. By making more sustainable choices, we can reduce our own carbon footprints and inspire others to do the same. Small actions, when multiplied by millions of people, can make a huge difference. This isn't just about Russia. This is a global issue, and we can learn from the efforts of other countries who are reducing their reliance on fossil fuels. We can implement similar strategies, adapt them to our unique circumstances, and work towards a more sustainable future. In the end, it comes down to this. We have a responsibility to our planet and to future generations. We can't afford to continue down this path of environmental disregard. It's up to us to demand better from our leaders and to take action in our own lives. The future of our planet depends on the choices we make today. As we've seen, the relentless pursuit of fossil fuels has left a deep scar on Russia's environment and its people. Shrouded in a haze of pollution, the vitality of our lands and the health of our communities hang in the balance. The time for change is now. Let's take a leaf out of the books of those who've turned the tide. Countries like Denmark, already generating nearly half of their electricity from wind power, show us a path forward. Even China, once a major coal consumer, is now the world's leading renewable energy producer. It's time for Russia to step up and embrace the wind, sun, and water. We need to hold our leaders accountable, demand policies that prioritize our environment and our health. It's not just about economic growth. It's about the legacy we leave behind. Support sustainable energy alternatives. The future of our planet depends on it.